Okay, Algebra 2, now we're on page 9, problem 39, and all of the graphs are showing f of x equals 5 to the x, but we're looking for the one that also has the inverse, which is log base 5 of x. So remember that you can get the inverse by switching the x and y values, or you can also get the inverse by flipping it across the dashed line y equals x. So let's see, let's grab a marker. So this is the dashed line, y equals x. So I can really see that the first one is actually just slid over and not flipped across that line. But it also, a lot of you are really good now at finding these points to do the inverse. So I can see that there's a point at 0, 1, and I can see that there's another point at 1, 5. So I'm looking for a graph that has these switched. Instead of 0, 1, and 1, 5, my new points would be 1, 0, and 5, 1. So I'm looking for a graph that has 1, 0, and 5, 1. Like that. So it looks like it could be this one. It has 1, 0, but it doesn't have 5, 1, so I don't think it's B. This one has 1, 0, and it has 5, 1, so it's probably this one, but let's check out D just to be sure. Nope, D's wrong. Alright, so answer C. 40. We have two functions, and we want to know the solution for when the functions equal each other, so that would just be where they cross, right here. And that looks like x equals -1. Okay, 41. The scale is accurate within 1/4 ounce, and the package reads 1 pound. So which best represents the possible weights in ounces of the package? Well, remember that 1 pound is 16 ounces. So it's going to either be a 1/4 ounce above or below that. So if I subtract the 1/4 ounce, I would get 15 3/4 ounces. And if I add the 1/4 ounce, I would get 16 1/4 ounce. So it should be between those two values. And that is choice B. Next page. Alright, in 42, Mrs. Morales has two sections of Spanish 3, and she gave them a test, and the scores were normally distributed. So here are their scores, mean and standard deviation, and it's asking you to compare those scores. So we're going to do that with z-scores. So first we're going to do 11th grade students. So the z-score for 11th grade students is going to be x, which is 90. So 90 minus the mean over the standard deviation. So that's a z-score of 2. And then 12th grade students, the z-score is going to be x. We still want 90, but they have a different mean. They have 85 over the standard deviation. Okay, so this is going to give me 5 over 8, and on the calculator we're going to get a decimal. .625. Now remember, for z-scores you want to round to the hundredths place, so that would be 0.63. Alright, now if we pull up a z-score table, we can find, first you want to go to the positive page here, so let's see if I can do that. Okay, so if I'm looking for 0.63, I start right there at 0.6 and I go over to 0.63, it's 0.7357. So my number here is 0.7357 for 12th graders. And then for 11th graders, let's go back and we're going to find that z-score of 2. So z-score of 2 is 0.9772. Okay, Now remember, the numbers from the z-score table tell you the percent of students below that value, but we want above that value. So it's going to be, for 11th grade, it's going to be 1 minus 0.9772. Let's see. So 1 minus 0.9772 is going to give us 0.0228, which is 2.3% of 11th graders. And then for 12th graders, it's going to be 1 minus 0.7357. Okay, so that's 0.2643, which is 26.4% of 12th graders. So it looks like we're going to be matching answer choice G here. All right, 43, we have a graph of a log function, and it's asking which one's true. It decreases sharply. No, it's actually never decreasing. This function is increasing. Remember that you read it from left to right, so it's increasing, increasing, increasing. It's always increasing, so it's never decreasing, so not A. And not B, because it's not decreasing. For C, it says it increases sharply between 0 and 1, and then continues to increase but less rapidly. That could be right. And increases sharply from 1 to 2, and then continues to increase but less rapidly. So let's see, between 0 and 1. Well, let's see where our asymptote is. The asymptote was shifted over to the right 1. So there's an asymptote for this log right here. So it actually doesn't exist from 0 to 1. So we don't want the answer from 0 to 1 because there's nothing there. It's going to be choice D. It's increasing from 1 to 2. Okay, for problem 44, it looks like I have 5 to the 2/3 z to the 4/3. So if I'm going to rewrite that, it's going to be a cube root. Remember, power over root? And so then the powers would be 5 squared and z to the 4th. And 5 squared is 25, so let's see. Oh, so far we're still not matching anything. But what we want to do is break our z into 2 parts. So I'm going to have cube root 25. And for the z, I'm going to make that z to the 3rd, z to the 1. And then the cube root of z to the 3rd, when that comes out, is just z. So I have z times the cube root of 25, and I still have z to the 1 left inside. So that's choice G. Next page. Whoops. Okay. 25, what are the zeros? You can read those right from the graph. Anytime they ask you the zeros, you can pull out your graphing calculator and graph it. So the zeros are 2 and 4. 46. Which describes this transformation? So if you see one like this, you can see it's clearly a reflection, and it's reflecting over the x-axis. 47, what are the x-intercepts? Now you can find this by factoring. Just remember that when you factor, you're not done. Or if you graph it on your calculator, they pop up right away. When you factor it, you're going to get x minus 6 times x minus 5. But don't be fooled into thinking that -6 and -5 are your solutions, because you have to set them equal to 0, and then you get x equals positive 6 and x equals positive 5. Oh, and then remember that those are the x's, the y's are 0, so that's choice A. Alright, in 48, they give you the formula. If they don't give you the formula, whenever you see this word infinite, you're going to go to your formula sheet and choose S sub infinity. So remember, A sub 1 is the first term, which is 20, and R is the common ratio. So to find the common ratio, you can divide the second term by the first term. So that would be 4 over 20, which is 1/5, or 0.2. So you do 1 minus 0.2. Remember that if you're going to put this all in your calculator at once, you need to put parentheses around that. So let's pull out the calculator and clear what we have. So you're going to have 20 divided by parentheses 1 minus 0.2. Close your parentheses. 25 is your infinite sum. Okay, for 49, we're trying to solve a system of equations. It's always best when solving a system on your SOL to just set each one, solve it for y, and then graph that on your calculator. So the first one, 3x minus 2y equals 6. Subtract the 3x. You get negative 2y is equal to 6 minus 3x, and then divide by negative 2. And actually, your calculator doesn't need you to simplify as long as you remember to put parentheses around your numerator. You can do 6 minus 3x over negative 2. Then the second equation, we had x squared minus 2y equals 6. So do the same exact thing, subtract the x squared. Negative 2y equals 6 minus x squared, and then divide by negative 2, so that your second one is y is equal to parentheses around the 6 minus x squared, then divided by negative 2. So you're going to put both of these into your calculator. Okay, so y equals, clear out what's in there. Alright, parentheses, 6 minus 3x, close parentheses, divided by negative 2, and parentheses, 6 minus x squared, close parentheses, divided by negative 2. If you get an error, you might be typing minus instead of negative. There's your line, and there's your parabola. And you can almost eyeball where the answers are, but remember that second intersect, or second calculate, and then choose intersect, gives you the exact answer. So you do enter, enter, enter. One of the answers is 0, negative 3, so it looks like it's going to either be C or D. And then second, trace, intersect, move closer to the other answer. And then enter, enter, enter. So you get 3 and 1.5. So that would match answer choice D. Alright, one more page. Alright, where is the asymptote for this graph? They tell you that it's an exponential, and you need to remember that exponentials are going to have horizontal asymptotes, which means it can't be F or G. Now also, this number here in your exponential is showing you that you're shifting down 4. So it went from 0 to negative 4. So your asymptote will be right here at y equals negative 4. 51, the time t needed to put the textbooks on the shelf is inversely proportional to p, the number of people. So that means t is k over p. And it says it takes 3 people 54 minutes. So 54 is k over 3. And then you're going to multiply by 3 to get k is equal to 162. So how long would the task take 2 people? Alright, so now we're going to do t equals 162 over 2. So t is equal